to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today Around Kansas takes a look at John B. Stetson and his Stetson Hat Company, now marking its 150th anniversary. Next, learn how Emporia's Clint Bowyer got his start in racing and how he keeps close ties to his hometown. And then enjoy a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end the story about the oil field that won World War I, located in El Dorado. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the yellow brick road. It's Wednesday again.
Oh my God, hump day for sure. Will we make it till Friday? Who
I
knows?
don't know. It's
What are you people doing up this early?
Yeah.
You know,
Does anybody out there have coffee? Please bring us some coffee.
Rick Creedy was supposed to. He is falling down on his job.
Hey, if you hear noise in the background, that's because we're at the Dillon House in Topeka, and it's a place that you can rent for meetings and seminars and weddings and all kinds of things. And there is a group here today, so it's not ghosts. It's real people.
Yeah,
so,
you're hearing real people in the background.
Oh my! So anyway, we forgot to tell you this is Around Kansas. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb. Good morning again.
And we're all over the place around Kansas. Actually, Deb is. I get to sit at a desk and pretty much do it. But Deb's all over. So where have you been now?
Well, I have to tell you, I grew up in the mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, North Carolina. So I've always considered myself a mountain girl, but now I live, on the prairies of Kansas. I was in Georgetown, Colorado, and if you're familiar, that's on I-70, just 40 miles or something west of Denver. So I was out there for the weekend. I have never been so glad in my life to head back east and see the prairies open up and just the wide open space. The canyon, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. And we're going to do a segment on the weekend I had because it was all about Buffalo Bill. It was great. My dream man. But you're in that canyon, in that narrow canyon. The town is down at the foot of the canyon, and it's just gorgeous. But I'm like, I don't know if I can breathe, just let me out. So when I was headed back home and drove 4.5 hours just to get around Denver because of the Broncos traffic, I've never been so grateful, and to see the prairie just open up in front of me, that wide open space. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've become a prairie girl now.
Uh-oh. Now, we need to do a story sometime about when Kansas was still a territory, and Denver was actually part of Kansas.
And so was Georgetown.
Colorado was part of Kansas.
Yeah, to the Continental Divide.
Yeah.
And we lopped that off. Do you know why we did that, Frank?
Well, I have a couple of stories, but you tell me yours.
Because it was full of Democrats.
Oh,
so all
okay.
the miners and all the guys who were out there, it was predominantly Democratic. And of course, the Republicans, the party of Lincoln, controlled Kansas politics, and so we don't need all those Democrats voting out there.
Well, there was some fight about, should Denver be the capital or Topeka? And of course, Topeka was the capital at the time, and they said, well, you know what, nobody is going to travel that far, so let's just not have that part in Kansas anymore. And then, of course, after that, it was like, guess what? We found silver and gold out here. And they went, oops.
Darn the luck, darn the timing. Stay tuned.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here, and I'm inviting you to come to the McCain Auditorium on October 12th to be a part of the Henry C. Gardner Global Food Systems Lecture Series, and the featured speaker will be Greg Page. He's going to discuss climate change and agriculture. When you think of climate change and the impact that agriculture may have on it, everybody involved with agriculture needs to be there. I hope that you can attend. We'll see you on the Kansas State campus. Again, that's October 12th, McCain Auditorium, and I'll see you down the road.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
Now's the time to overseed your lawn. The success of your lawn depends on the quality you plant and the proper fertilizer. Plant 100% weed-free seed with top-rated varieties tested by KSU. Always use Fertilome New Lawn Starter for faster, stronger root development. Don't waste time and money with lower quality seed from the box stores.
Join the Jackson's Greenhouse WIBW Garden Club and save 10% on your lawn seed and Fertilome New Lawn Starter.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life. And we're back. We're so glad you can join us at our party this morning. We
just got the giggles today. It's just a fun day here in Topeka.
Yeah,
I hope it is around the rest of the state. So there's all kinds of anniversaries going on. 100 years of this, 150 years of that. We just got out of the sesquicentennial of the Civil War. We're just getting out of it this year. So 150 years of Stetson.
Yeah,
and
this is not a Stetson.
I was just going to ask. Yeah. I didn't think so.
Yeah.
But all the cowboys I know wear Stetsons. I did an informal poll. My friend Cowboy Colbert's son up in Easton, of course, wears a Stetson. And I asked my buddy Frank Goodrich and Jim Gray, and just all my buddies wear Stetsons. So if it was good enough for John Wayne, by golly, it's good enough for everybody else.
Okay, but I know you're going to do a story on Stetson hats, but we need to do a story on the fact that cowboy boots, essentially, there's a little bit of a dispute, but they were really invented and made in Olathe. Okay, and so this really is a cowboy state.
It absolutely
is. Because you got your Stetson hats, you got your cowboy boots, because they had them specially made because, with the pointed toe and, and all that, and that's because that way they could fit them into the stirrups and their feet wouldn't slip out and all that. So anyway, we'll do a story on boots too. We will.
And I was just thinking the other day when I was working on this story about the Stetson hats, one of the sure signs that the legislature's in session in Topeka is the cowboy hats crossing the street. Have you noticed that? Because Topeka is not a town of cowboy hats. You go to Wichita, you go to Hayes, a lot of towns in Kansas, Dodge City, of course, and they're cowboy hats all the time, but Topeka not so much. Until the legislature's in session, and then you get all the cowboys coming in from all around the state. So, have you noticed that?
I have noticed that. So anyway, oh my.
All right, celebrate 150 years of Stetson. We were at the Kansas Sampler Festival where Jim Gray and Dennis Katzenmeyer were manning a booth for the National Drovers Hall of Fame. Jim had set up a saddle on a frame just to give folks a feel for it. My grandson Devin climbed on again and again and asked Jim if he might borrow his hat so he could be a real cowboy. As generous as Jim is, he said no. You just don't loan your hat. Devin was bummed, to say the least, that he had not brought his own cowboy hat from home, and we spent the rest of the day searching for a hat. Lots of ranchers do the same, putting in a considerable amount of time looking for just the right hat, one that fits, keeps out the sun and the rain, and just feels right. For lots of folks, that hat is very often a Stetson, the iconic hat that is marking its 150th anniversary. In 1865, with $100, John B. Stetson rented a small room, bought the tools he needed, bought $10 worth of fur, and the John B. Stetson Hat Company was born. A year later, the Hat of the West, or the now famous Boss of the Plains hat, was born, and the name Stetson was on its way to becoming the mark of quality, durability, innovation, and beauty. John B. Stetson experienced trying times in his life, But after it all, he relied on the one thing he did exceptionally well, making hats. He was trained by his father, a master hatter, and applied his skills and knowledge to a trade that, at the time, was not held in high regard. Back then, a hatter was seen as unreliable, lazy, or aloof, only looking to make his money and go have fun. John B. Stetson changed all that and built one of America's most well-known and successful businesses. The longevity and history of the Stetson Company is based on innovation and quality. John B. Stetson led the hat industry his entire career by designing new hat styles for fashion and function. Stetson has become the standard in hats, the essence of the spirit of the West, and an icon of everyday American lifestyle. Because of its authentic American heritage, Stetson remains as a part of history and, for the same reason, will continue to into the future. Jim said his chocolate Will James style hat is a Stetson. Bill Cody wore a Stetson, as did his little sure shot, Annie Oakley. Will Rogers and John Wayne wore Stetsons. You just can't get more American than that.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com. And we're back. So we are going to do a story on the cowboy boots too. We'll have to do that. Kansas has a lot of famous people, and they do a lot of neat things, and that's why they're famous, I guess. But anyway, we've done musicians and we've done actors, and so we also need to talk about all of the people that are in racing. Did you know that actually drag racing started in Kansas?
No, I did not know
Yes,
that.
it did. After the war, World War II, and now I'm going to have to think of what the city is, but it was in south central Kansas. Guys started getting together with their souped up cars, and they would drag race, and that actually then turned into the National Drag Race Association.
That's awesome. I come from
NHRA,
NASCAR country because, of course, moonshining and NASCAR went hand in hand and probably still does. So I grew up with racing, NASCAR and all those guys, Richard Petty, the king, who was out here. Richard Petty was out here, and his son were out here. They stopped in Dodge City a few months ago when they were doing some kind of just cross-country tour. So we've got...
NHRA really did get it started.
Wow.
I mean, when I was in high school, there was an 8th mile track over across the river in North Topeka, and it was the old Brickyard Road. The Brickyard Bridge went down in the 51 flood. Well, there was an 8 mile drag strip there, and so we'd go there. And then in Lawrence, there was a 1/4 mile drag strip over there. So anyway, where we're going with this is we're going to do a story about NASCAR and Kansas' own Clint Bowyer. Let's take a look. Emporia native Clint Bowyer has excited racing fans since he was 5 years old, first in motocross and then in NASCAR. He's in transition as his relationship with Michael Waltrip Racing comes to an end, but his racing career is far from over. In 1996, at the age of 17, he left a successful showing in the motocross world and began racing street stocks at Thunder Hill Speedway in Mayetta, Kansas. He won the modified championship there in 2000. Bowyer racked up 18 wins and 32 top 5 finishes on his way to capturing the 2001 Modified Championships at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, and Heartland Park, Topeka. In 2002, he began racing in the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series, posting 9 poles, 12 wins, and 32 top 5 finishes, en route to a second-place finish in the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series National Point Standings. He was also crowned the 2002 NASCAR Weekly Racing Series Midwest Champion after another modified championship at Lakeside Speedway and a late model championship at the famed I-70 Speedway in Odessa, Missouri, his first attempt at racing on asphalt. In 2003, Bowyer raced a full season in the NASCAR AutoZone Elite Division Midwest Series, scoring 1 top 10 finish in 11 starts. He also would make his first ARCA starts in 2003 and caught the eye of legendary car owner Richard Childress after leading 47 laps and finishing second in his debut at Nashville Superspeedway, driving for Scott Traylor out of Kansas City. After the second-place finish, Richard Childress called Bowyer by phone and offered him a job. Bowyer thought he was joking and hung up on him. Childress called back soon afterward, and with a not-too-happy tone, he still offered Bowyer the job. Bowyer realized it was for real and accepted. He remained with Childress for 8 years. Throughout his racing successes, Bowyer has maintained close ties to Kansas and his hometown of Emporia. In 2008, Bowyer attended and hosted the first annual Clint Bowyer charity golf event. It raised $160,000 for the Emporia Community Foundation to make Emporia a better place. He also raised the money for a new community center dedicated in 2012. The new Bowyer Community Building is located at the Lyon County Fairgrounds on Highway 50. Fans of Duck Dynasty were treated to Bowyer's limousine drag race against Willie Robertson a couple of years ago. Bowyer won. Unfortunately, there are no NASCAR Cup points for beating a Robertson.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
All of us are familiar with the routine of going to the store to get groceries. But for the cow-calf man, getting groceries has an additional meaning. This poem is entitled, Getting Groceries. Getting groceries is something we have to do for supplies from the store each week or two. There's milk, bread, cereal, eggs, and juice, plus the snacks and drinks that teenagers use. And right before a holiday or before a winter storm, I get amazed at the shopper checkout lines that form. But when I see a cow nursing a baby calf, it reminds me of a cattleman that made me laugh. When he saw a calf nurse, one of his tendencies was to say, "That calf is getting groceries." I thought it was a funny saying back in the day, but now I understand it in a modern way. For we all need food to help sustain and grow, just like that newborn calf will undergo. While humans go to the garden or to the store, of course, the calf gets his nutrition direct from the source. We have had a bottle calf, which our kids think is fun, but it takes time and trouble to get those chores done. So I give thanks for my favorable luck when I see a new calf that will stand and will suck. Now the wife says our kitchen inventory needs to rebuild, so we'll be getting groceries for the pantry to be filled. But for the cow-calf man, there's nothing better somehow than to see a calf getting groceries from a mama cow. Happy trails.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. Go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, we're back, and one of my favorite towns because of the art there is El Dorado, Kansas, and we featured our good friend Rod Seal, who is the director of the Coots Museum of Art down there on Main Street. Go see them. And it's a great time to go visit El Dorado because they are marking the 100th anniversary of the big oil strike.
Another anniversary. This time 100
anniversary.
years.
We're just just racking them up here. But it's such a cool town, and oil and gas have meant so much to the economy of the West, and of course then the whole nation. But when the oil and gas industry was really in its infancy, the Stapleton strike down in El Dorado was just huge.
Oh, gigantic.
Huge news.
Yeah.
And then we've had others throughout the state, and of course it remains a big piece of the Kansas economy.
Yeah. Well, and if you go to Wichita on the turnpike, of course you go past El Dorado, or is it El Dorado? El Dorado, as we call it in Kansas.
Say El Dorado,
and then you do
say El
see,
Dorado.
I mean, you drive through a lot of the oil fields
Sure.
and the refineries and all that, and people don't really, I mean, they've heard of the Hugoton oil fields,
Right.
but El Dorado actually is a bigger strike.
Oh, it's a great story. Stay tuned. 100 years ago, on October 5, the Stapleton No. 1, an oil well in Butler County, finally gushed black gold. There had been many tries and lots of discouragement as other communities found gas and oil beneath the prairies. They had even turned to a spiritualist for help, with less than inspiring results. It would be science that won out in the search for oil. In June of 1914, El Dorado City Fathers contracted with Erasmus Haworth, soon to retire from his position as state geologist, to perform a geological study of the area. His fieldwork outlined the El Dorado anticline, which unsuccessfully was drilled a year later. It was abandoned and sold to the Wichita Natural Gas Company, who drilled the Stapleton No. 1 oil well, named for the man who owned the property. The timing of the find could not have been more welcome as America entered World War I and cars became more common. Demand for oil was at a new peak. It is estimated that the oil field was producing 9 to 12% of the world's oil. Some referred to it as the oil field that won World War I. Since then, it has produced more than 300 billion barrels. That's 300 million barrels of oil. The legacy of the oil field and its transformation of Butler County and surrounding communities is celebrated by the Kansas Oil Museum in El Dorado.
El Dorado, Maris de Signy or Meridicine. I mean, we pronounce them all different here in Kansas.
We need to come up with a guide. We could post that on our website or something, a pronunciation guide for Kansans.
Yeah. Well, nobody brought us coffee, so I guess we'll have to go get our own. So, I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.